Hello, hello, everyone. Thank you so much for joining us for today's webinar at the PPIA program in conjunction with our Junior Summer Institutes. We're just going to give it a minute for all of our attendees to come in from the waiting room, but we're really excited to talk to you about our 2024 JSI cycle, and we will get started in just one moment. Awesome. Well, thank you so much, everyone, for joining us today. My name is Esteban Delgado, and I am the Executive Director of the Public Policy and International Affairs Program, better known as PPIA. And I am so excited to be here today with 6 of my amazing colleagues from some of the top public policy and international affairs programs from across the nation to talk about one of our signature programs at the PPIA program, the Junior Summer Institute. But before we get started today, I want to get a sense of where everyone is coming from. And so if I'm going to launch a poll real quick. And so you'll see that there are 2 questions up. One, have you started your PPIA application already? If you'll answer yes or no. And then the second one is, where are you zooming in from today? Are you coming from the Northeast? Are you coming from the South? Are you coming from the Midwest, Southwest, West, Pacific Northwest, Pacific, or are you studying abroad right now? Would love to get a chance to get to know you a little bit better. And if you have any affinity to a Pacific state or university that you're zooming in from today, please feel free to put that in the chat for us. I'll give a couple more seconds for that poll. Oh, sorry, everyone. I think the chat is currently disabled, but thank you so much for answering these questions. So I'm going to end this poll, and I'm going to share the results. So it looks like almost 80% of you have already started your PPIA application for the Junior Summer Institute. Awesome. We love that you're starting early. For those 21% of you that haven't started yet, it's okay. We'll be sharing a lot more about the application, the eligibility, the requirements, and the application deadline in just a moment. And it looks like we have a really great diversity of participants from across the nation and abroad, those studying abroad in the Zoom today. If you have other friends or at your institution or other institutions across the country or studying abroad that this program might be of interest to, we really encourage you to also share that with your friends and colleagues in the education space right now. So please feel free to share this. We are one of the top equity programs in public policy education, and we would love for you to share our information. So I'm going to stop sharing that. We would love for this to be as interactive as possible. Like I said, I have colleagues here from some of the top public policy schools who are going to be sharing information about their specific PPIA Junior Summer Institutes this summer. And then I also have my colleague, our communications and outreach manager, Saran Sidime, on this call as well. If you will use the Q&A feature to ask questions throughout today's webinar, I will be sure that either I or Saran or one of our amazing colleagues will answer those questions so that we can answer those and then share them with the rest of the attendees during today's call. If we have time at the end of today's session, we will also see if we can answer some of those live as well. So I'm going to start by sharing my screen. Awesome. And so this is my screen. If anyone has any issues, please feel free to send me a message in the Q&A. But this is a picture of some JSI students from our, I want to say our 2022 cycle at our DC Day. And we are really excited not only to be able to provide this opportunity to our students, but to really see where they go once they become an alumni or alumni of ours. So our mission at the PPIA program is to cultivate the next generation of diverse public servants and international affairs professionals by investing in their education, their essential skills, and networks to affect domestic and global change, right? We believe that our democracy is most effective when we provide it with the best representation, right? And by providing it with the best representation, that means getting and ensuring that we have rich, diverse representation in the halls where those public servants are educated and ultimately where they can have springboards into those leadership positions that really matter in our government. So our vision is a thriving and equitable world uplifted by visionary, inclusive, and compassionate leaders. And ultimately, that means you. That means getting you into those opportunities, getting you into those seats of power. And so we are institutions that share these values and want to see you succeed and thrive and ultimately get the best education that you can to ensure that you can be in the policy arena. Here you can see the breakdown of the composition of our alumni. And we really try to live our values by serving those that have been traditionally underrepresented in the public service and public leadership spaces. Our PPIA program, our Junior Summer Institute, is a rigorous graduate level preparation program for undergraduates committed to public service, right? And through this program, our fellows gain the knowledge and the skills and connections to succeed in graduate school and ultimately to influence global policymaking and domestic policymaking for the common good. And on this call today, you're going to hear from our current 6 host sites that enable us to provide our fellows with these skills during this rigorous summer program, which is often 7 weeks, for you all to become prepared to apply to these top public policy schools. So I just want to really recognize them for the investment that they have in the program and the investment that they have to access and belonging in public policy. So Carnegie Mellon University, their Heinz College, the Harvard Kennedy School, the Ford School at the University of Michigan, the Princeton School of Public International Affairs, the Berkeley Goldman School, and the Evans School at the University of Washington. And together, we really work to produce amazing public leaders like James Chan. James completed their JSI at Princeton in 2011. And after completing their JSI program, they went on to study and get their master's in public policy at the Humphrey School of Public Affairs in Minneapolis, Minnesota. Previous to getting their master's, they went to the University of Florida. And because they were able to get the training that they had at their JSI program at Princeton, they were able to get into a top public policy program. They were able to leverage their skills and have an amazing network. And they were able to secure an amazing job in the public service space being the National API Civic Engagement Director, serving employees at a union in the SEIU. And so we are really proud of our alumni. We are really proud of what we're able to accomplish together, providing access to our students who are amazing change makers, so that they can live to their full potential and really provide access and belonging for those that come after them as well. So let's talk a little bit more about the benefits of the Junior Summer Institute at the PPIA program. So traditionally, we admit about 140 to 150 Junior Summer Institutes across our 6 sites. In 2022, we admitted 146 JSI fellows. In 2021, we had about a 30% acceptance rate. And we have over 4,000 PPIA alumni worldwide. And so you can see here, we are constantly adding to this alumni list, but it's also a robust network that will able to mentor you and be a family for you as you enter into the public policy arena. So during your Public Policy Summer Institute, your Junior Summer Institute, you will be able to do coursework in statistical, quantitative, qualitative, and policy analysis. You will, and each school has slightly different coursework, and they'll be able to touch upon that for you as we go through this. You'll visit local, state, and federal government organizations and NGOs or nonprofits to really get a sense of what's happening in the communities that these schools are based in, right? Because a lot of the policy issues that these different schools are in their backyard, right, kind of affect kind of how these schools operate and what policy areas do they work on. And so you can get a sense of, are these the policy areas that I want to focus on when I go to public policy school or international affairs programs? You'll get guest lectures and engage in panel discussions with public servants and PPIA alumni and university faculty to really get a sense of what is it like to take public policy education to practice. Some schools still rely on the graduate record examination as test prep and as a metric for graduate admissions. And so some schools will provide resources for you to get training in this exam so that you can put your best foot forward during this admissions process. A lot of the programs have summer capstone projects and presentations so that you can culminate everything that you've been learning through your JSI experience and practice it in one final opportunity. And you'll get a final coursework evaluation by your PPIA professors and instructors so that you'll be able to present this either as a letter of recommendation when you are applying to your graduate school of choice, or so that you could also take back to your home institution and potentially get coursework credit for it for your time over the summer participating in your JSI. Stipends are provided upon program completion, and there's no cost to attend, right? This is a completely free fellowship program. And you'll have lifelong bonds with your JSI cohort and access to the PPIA network. And also, while there's no cost to attend this program, once you complete it as well, and you're part of the PPIA fellowship, there are many schools in our consortium, over 60, that honor the PPIA fellowship. And these schools recognize PPIA fellows, and they will many times provide additional fellowship opportunities to PPIA fellows so that we can offset the cost of you attending policy school long-term as well. So let's talk a little bit about program eligibility. This is called the Junior Summer Institute because we want you to attend it the summer after your junior year. But we know that that means a couple of different things because you might have taken advanced placement courses, or you might have attended community college and have brought other credits to, right, your that like change your status, right, that as a student. So we define junior status as those that are graduating between 2024, right, December 2024 and August 2025. You cannot have a bachelor's degree already, but we welcome all majors, right? You don't have to be an economics major or a political science major. You can be a biology major. You can be an engineering major, right? We just need to know that you have a commitment to pursuing a professional career associated with public service, and that can be in government, nonprofit, humanitarianism, or international affairs. U.S. citizens, legal permanent residents, and DACA recipients are all eligible to apply for any site that's hosting a PPIA JSI program. However, international students, if you're studying at a US-based institution, you can also apply and be eligible for currently 3 of our JSI program sites, Carnegie Mellon University, Princeton, and the University of Washington. And we are also trying to make sure that we are promoting robust representation in public policy, right? And so you must be interested in contributing to the diversity of perspectives presented in the program. And so also I got a question here, asking if we can clarify what defines a quantitative foundation. During your PPIA JSI studies, a lot of public policy schools want to ensure that you're walking in not only with a good sense of, what are the policy issues, but can you help solve policy issues, with the skills needed. And some of those skills needed are quantitative skills, like and qualitative skills, right? And so quantitative skills being, right, do you have the algebra and statistics and economics and potentially even calculus skills to be able to reason with what's going on at the policy level to solve complex policy issues, right? Like what's happening with Social Security, or how much should people be taxed, or how should we price a toll road, right? These are complex policy and social issues that sometimes need a quantitative lens to be solved. And these are things that we do as policy experts to solve these issues, and things that you will do as a policy expert. And we want to ensure that you have those skills in your toolkit so that you can enter policy school on day one and start solving them. And we want to give you that foundation. And each school will kind of talk about what that means at their JSI host site to give you that specific foundation. So what are the application requirements? So we require a resume that talks about your volunteer and career experience, your intern experience to date, and how it relates to the public policy sphere. Your unofficial college transcripts, right, from all community colleges and all colleges that you've attended to date. A letter of recommendation. 3 required essays, and we'll talk about that in a second. 1 optional extenuating circumstance statement, right, in case you need to expand a little bit more about your family's finances, or let's say you had a rough patch during your academic career and you need to talk a little bit more about that. We want to practice being equitable in this manner, and so we want to give people an opportunity to give a chance to talk a little bit more about seeing you as a person if you need to, because we want to humanize your application. And then 2 additional optional essays. UC Berkeley requires an essay for their law fellows, if that's something that you want to pursue as part of this application cycle, and Carnegie Mellon requires an essay for their data analytics track, if that's something that you want to pursue as part of this experience. We also require a student aid report, because we also take your financial need into account during the application process. If you can't submit your student aid report for the 2023-2024 academic year, you could submit your 2023-24 financial aid award letter. And if you can't submit either one of those documents, you can submit your parents' 2023 IRS tax return. We do not need all 3 of these documents. We only need 1. Your resume should only be 1 page long. Your professor at the university that you did not take a class with can write a letter. Can a professor at our university that we did not take a class with write a letter of recommendation? You want somebody to write your letter of recommendation that knows you the best. If you think that this professor knows you the best, they can write your letter. Is there an income bracket required for typical accepted students? There is no income bracket required, no, but we just want to get to know you better as an applicant. So that's why we ask for this information. So for the IRS tax return, we're just looking for your last year's tax return. So if the 2023 tax year won't be done, you can submit your previous year's tax return for your parents. And to the best of my knowledge, yes, Berkeley is the only school with an additional law component of their program, but the other schools can talk to that if they do. So what are we looking for in traditionally accepted candidates? So we're looking to show strong academic potential to succeed in graduate level coursework. We're looking for students that demonstrate commitment to public service and addressing issues affecting underrepresented communities. We're looking for strong letters of recommendation. We're looking for well-written and succinct essays with clear narratives of applicants' background and public service interests. And we're looking for substantive resumes with leadership and volunteer experience. And like I said, economic need is given consideration. But like I said, we're really trying to get to know you as an applicant. And so I think where the rubber really meets the road here is in your essays. And so you're going to be asked to upload, right, your is going to be 3 essays. What are your public service career goals, and how will participating in a PPIA Junior Summer Institute help you achieve these goals? Diversity of all kinds is important to enriching the educational experience at college and universities. Please share with us life experiences that have shaped your perspectives and how they are contributing to the classroom and community at your college or university. And given your interest in PPIA, why do you want to pursue a master's degree related to public policy and international affairs? What specific skills do you want to gain this summer as you consider your academic and career goals? These are the 3 essays that we would like you to answer and respond to. We ask that you don't use ChatGPT to ideate or to write these at all. We really want to get to know you. So really put thought into how you answer these essays.
Stephen?
Yes.
Sorry, I just want to quickly jump in here, folks. I really think when it comes to application requirements, our FAQ page is very detailed. So I would really use today's opportunity to ask specific questions about the schools, because when it comes to sort of application details, I'm going to drop a link to our application requirements. I see a lot of folks going back and forth about, resume pages. Sure, 2 pages is fine to upload a resume. But again, I would highly encourage you all to ask questions that you can't find on the website.
Thanks, Ron. I appreciate that. And so what we find it typically for students that do really well in our application process, they really do really well in the required essays. So they're really able to give us a really humanistic perspective on how they're able to connect their future goals or their policy goals back to their lived experience, and back to who they are as a person and why they want to attend the JSI program. And so just really wanted to touch on the required essays, why this is so important to the application process, and why this is probably the most important aspect of the JSI application. I'm going to take a look here and see if I can answer any more of these before I hand it over to my first colleague for their If you're going to a PPIA public service weekend in the future, you can always note that in the extra notes / extenuating circumstances portion of the application. Definitely, you can use 2 pages for your resume. However, I will say at this stage in your career, if you want to be succinct and in your resume, you probably should kind of pare that down to 1 page where you're at right now. That's probably just best practice for where you're at, given where you are, in your career. However, we understand that, you have time constraints, and so that's why we're open to 2 pages. However, best practices for resumes, right, given a bachelor's degree is 1 page. And
Sorry.
and then so I look, sorry, I'm going to keep on going here. And we are recording the slides, and we will post these at as we continue going. And what I'm going to do is I'm going to move on and just talk a little bit about the selection and notification process. All applications are due Wednesday, November 1st before midnight. We receive 500 applications each year, and so we strongly encourage you to submit your application early. In the application, you will list your preferred ranking of the PPIA JSI host sites. So you'll get to state, where your preferred preference of going for your JSI experience is. As a reminder, we accept approximately 140 to 150 fellows total. And we'll make our admissions decisions in early February. And if you are accepted, you'll only be offered admission to 1 PPIA JSI program. So how to apply? This is the link to apply. You'll click here, and you'll create an application profile on our Smarter Select profile. And as Saran had mentioned, if you have any other questions or you want to refer to the FAQs, you can find those at our ppiaprogram.org page. But what I'm going to do now is I am going to hand things over. I don't think David is with us yet. Actually, David raised his hand. Let me.
Yeah, it looks like David didn't get the right link to join. David, check your G-chat. I just sent you a link. See if you can join that.
I can allow him to talk here. Hi, David.
Thank you so much. I really apologize for that. So
no, you're fine.
If you don't mind driving for me, I'll just talk and you guys can help me out there. I appreciate it. So
of course.
Hello, everyone. My name is David Eber. I'm the head of admissions and financial aid for Heinz College at Carnegie Mellon University, and it's great to be here with all of you. Thank you to our hosts and organizers, and to see my colleagues. So I'm going to jump right into this. On this slide here, we are located in Pittsburgh, Pennsylvania, which is America's most livable city. We are top ranked for food and restaurants. We're known for our low cost of living and readily accessible art scene, great parks with tons of outdoor activities, and Pittsburgh's been ranked #1 for new grads starting their careers. So you can please use the QR code on the slide to see a more complete list of the great things that Pittsburgh has to offer. And that's one of the big features of our PPIA Junior Summer Institute that I think is important to share. So I am not actually a native of Pittsburgh. I'm from New York City, went to elementary school in the Bronx and middle school in Manhattan and high school in Queens. So I know the city well. So shout out to all the New Yorkers on there today. So I earned my bachelor's degree in political science and a master's degree from Carnegie Mellon's Heinz College in public management. So I've been in my role for just over 20 years now. So PPIA is an extremely important program for our institution. And at CMU's Heinz College, we train students to change the world by building their skills in analytics and technology. What we're doing is preparing our alumni to develop human-centered solutions to address societal scale challenges. And that starts at the very beginning, even in our PPIA JSI. So we host a number of research centers at Hines that exemplify the expertise and the impact of our faculty and our students. And that includes the Block Center for Technology and Society, the Center for Behavioral Decision Research, and the Center for Economic Development. And a couple of our more recent or newer research centers include Metro 21, which is our Smart Cities Institute, and the Program for Research and Outreach on Gender Equity in Society, also known as Progress. We offer 2 tracks for PPIA fellows each summer. There's a general public policy pathway and our data analytics pathway. The public policy pathway is focused on international and domestic policy, while the data analytics pathway is going to be focused on the use of data science for social good. All of our students are going to be registered for 4 courses. The first 3 are going to be the same for all students. Those courses are going to be Understanding Systems of Oppression, Applied Economics, and Applied Statistics. For the 4th class, the public policy track students take a class in Poverty and Social Policy, while the data analytics track students will take Telling Stories with Data. Can you go to the next slide, please? Thank you. Okay, so our students, both in PPIA and in our master's programs, they want to tackle complex issues that are going to require an interdisciplinary skill set to change the world. So we combine social, decision, and data science in our curricula with the end goal of training our alumni to work at the nexus of what we consider people, policy, and technology. So a few of the distinguishing features and benefits at CMU's PPIA program is going to include that we offer the 2 pathways, that general or the traditional pathway. And each pathway is going to have 15 students in the upcoming JSI. I also want to point out that our school has a second location in Washington, D.C., where our offices and our classrooms are located in the Hall of the States, which is right near Capitol Hill and Union Station. And during the summer, our PPIA fellows visit Washington, D.C., spending time at our offices, and they're going to meet with current students, faculty, and our D.C.-based alumni. In addition to spending time at our DC Center, the fellows will also visit sites like USAID, the Pew Research Center, Capitol Hill, the State Department, and others. So the fellows will also attend a graduate school fair during that trip to DC, which is a great opportunity to meet with admissions representatives from PPIA's consortium member schools. And the Princeton University fellows will also be there, so an opportunity to network with other JSI fellows is great. While in Pittsburgh, our fellows spend some of their free time kayaking, attending a Pittsburgh Pirates baseball game, visiting the wide variety of museums, having picnics in Shenley Park, which is the 500-acre park adjacent to CMU's campus. And we go on site visits to regional public and nonprofit organizations. And all of our fellows are going to meet one-on-one with our admissions and career services advisors for career planning and professional development opportunities. Our fellows also participate in trainings with the GAO through a case study workshop. We attend site visits around Pittsburgh and engage with our renowned faculty, our alumni who are driving change in public service, and with community leaders who are making an impact. So these interactions are going to include lectures, panels, and our weekly speaker series events. Also featured in 2024 is going to be specialized workshops on how to network and how to improve your LinkedIn profile, which we think are very important in this day and age. And our fellows participate in a wellness series focused on your well-being throughout the summer. If you can go to the next slide again, thank you. And just wrapping up here, just to note that competitive applicants to CMU's PPIA JSI will have taken a college algebra course prior to the end of their junior year. And in addition to the stipend and the meal allowance that our students are eligible for, our fellows receive free university housing, travel, and books for their PPIA classes and a GRE prep book. So in closing, our PPIA, JSI, and our master's programs are preparing our students for successful careers in changing the world. We prepare students with a competitive skill set for their careers in public policy and in international affairs. And not only do we offer those competitive skills for the job market, we also offer an extremely competitive financial aid package for the PPIA alumni who attend Hines for graduate school. So regardless of where you complete your PPIA JSI, you'll have a full tuition scholarship and a living stipend waiting for you if you decide to enroll at Hines for your master's program. So thank you for your time, and I'll turn things over to the next JSI host.
Awesome. Thank you so much, David. I'm going to turn things over to our colleague from the Harvard Kennedy School, Sandra Smith.
Thank you very much, Esteban. David, I feel like I want to sign up for your program. It sounds incredible. My name is Sandra Smith, and I'm the Daniel and Florence Guggenheim Professor of Criminal Justice here at the Harvard Kennedy School. I'm director of the Malcolm Weiner Center for Social Policy, faculty chair of the program in criminal justice, and professor of sociology and professor of sociology. We are, of the campuses, the newest. We will have our first cohort join us here on Harvard's campus in the summer of 2024. We are really excited to be doing this. At Harvard, we honestly believe that it is a matter of basic fairness to foster a diverse and inclusive community where everyone feels as if they belong, and that we're learning from each other in order to really try to solve society's most pressing problems. Fairly recently, I remember reading an article in the Washington Post that described how many who inhabit spaces like public policy schools, primarily dominated by economists, are people who come from backgrounds where at least one parent had a PhD or has a PhD. Can you imagine that many of society's problems, the kinds of questions that we pose as the most important, the kind of research that we do to determine what the nature of the problem is, the interpretations of those studies, and also the policy recommendations are by and large being determined by a tiny slice of the most elite in our societies. And really, we feel like we have to do something in order to really change that, to diversify the population of folks who are coming into these institutions, not just as students, but as people who would then go on to take on leadership roles in the broader society. And so our joining the other JSI campuses is our effort to get involved in this process to diversify even further what the student bodies and the leadership looks like in this realm. So over the many years, past few years, many students, faculty, staff, and alumni here at HKS have developed, advocated for, and implemented changes to create or build a more diverse, inclusive, and welcoming community. Our development of this JSI program on our campus is the latest effort in doing so. Esteban, if you wouldn't mind going to the next slide. At our JSI, what we hope to be able to provide you is a greater understanding of the various career opportunities that exist within public service fields, a deeper appreciation of the current issues and trends in policy fields so that you become much more familiar with these. It gets you on the pathway to becoming an expert in the fields that you care about. We hope to give you opportunities to develop a strong sense of belonging, that these are spaces that you should be in, that you deserve to be in, that you belong in, and that you can contribute to. And that we hope to give you a set of skills that will enable you to thrive in any graduate program that you decide to go to. So we see ours as setting you on a path to the kind of career that you hope to have in public policy. Next slide, please. So we plan to do that through our core curriculum, our core courses, co-curricular activities, and also that happen on campus, but also co-curricular activities that happen outside of campus. Beginning in the summer of 2024, we will offer 4 courses: the Intro to Economics, which will introduce participants to basic economic concepts, including supply and demand, incentives, markets, and market failures, etc. Quantitative analysis and empirical methods. It introduces participants to concepts and techniques essential to the analysis of public policy issues, including the introduction of probability, statistics, and decision analysis, emphasizing the ways in which these tools are applied to practical policy questions. These are critical for getting into these kinds of programs. And so we're hoping to give you that foundation if you haven't already developed it. We also will focus on questions of systematic oppression. In 2020, the HKS introduced for its Masters of Public Policy students a required course on race and racism. You will experience a version of this course. It will And in the course, we will examine the nature of race at the heart of the American project in two parts. The first is largely historical. It will draw from various disciplines to offer participants historical knowledge about the role that race and racism have played in wealth creation, labor force participation, political culture, social institutions, immigration, LGBTQ rights, plus rights, and civic life. But then we'll switch gears and focus on the contemporary moment, drawing links between the past and the present from a theoretical and empirical perspective and through the research that's been done in these areas, to highlight the institutions of racial domination that have helped to produce durable racial hierarchies with specific attention to the modes through which hierarchies have been created and maintained. And then you will experience the public policy incubator. Here, our idea is to create the incubator is designed to guide small groups of participants through the process of public policy design around their own big ideas. So what is it that you think needs to be done in these specific areas that can help to solve our problems? And the intention here is to support participants in thinking creatively about how to solve the real world problems that we care about and need to address. Next slide, please. So in terms of the co-curricular activities that we are in the process of designing for you, our hope is to offer you a broad sense of what life in graduate school is going to be like beyond the classroom, insight into public policy or public service policy making processes and policy-oriented research, and also exposure to careers in public and international affairs. We hope to do this through weekly sessions that focus on skill building, including an op-ed boot camp session where participants are placed in small groups and tasked with writing an op-ed on a given topic for a specific outlet. Panel discussions with current master's students and PhD students about the insights that they've gained on their own journeys, the things that have scared them, the obstacles that they have faced, the triumphs that they've had, and also the failures. Panel discussions with former master's and PhD students about their trajectories post-graduation and the impact that HKS has had on their careers. Workshops that deploy culturally responsive scholar development tools to help self-efficacy and a sense of belonging among our participants. The topics include, but are not limited to, identifying and combating stereotype phenomenon and imposter syndrome. We will also offer workshops focused on developing participants' mindfulness and resilience practices. We will engage in conversations with leaders and fellows from Harvard Kennedy School's Government Policy Lab, which supports governments in building just and effective service systems by developing hands-on tools for the design and implementation of reforms. And just to be clear, MPP students at HKS take on internships with the Government Policy Lab and are placed in local government offices to aid in the process of improving their administration of various programs. And so you get truly hands-on experience by having this experience with the Government Performance Lab. And so we would like you to learn more from them about the work that they do with the students that we bring in. Weekly talks by HKS faculty and their policy about their policy areas and related research, but also panel discussions of policy areas with leaders from a selection of HKS's premier centers. This includes the Ash Center for Democratic Governance and Innovation, the Belfer Center for Science and International Affairs, the Bloomberg Center for Cities, the Carr Center for Human Rights Policy, the Center for Public Leadership, the Institute of Politics, the Malcolm Weiner Center for Social Policy, which is the center that I run, the Mossaver Romani Center for Business and Government, the Shorenstein Center for Media, Politics, and Public Policy, the Taubman Center for State and Local Government, and the Women in Public Policy program. So each of those exist here, are amazing both research and advocacy organizations that I think you will enjoy learning more about. Next slide, please. And then, of course, we have to spend some time in the Boston area. Perhaps we can see a Boston Red Sox game when Pittsburgh is in town, so as to have a nice rivalry going on with CMU. There are various activities that we can engage in. What I've listed here are just some suggestions about what's possible. It's an extraordinary area, the Boston metropolitan area. It's one of the most vibrant metropolitan areas in the country, home to over 16 colleges and universities, world-class cultural institutions, over 450,000 acres of parks and recreation, top sports teams, and leading industries, including in biotech, information technology, engineering, finance, and marine trade of all things. So to give JSI participants a sample of what the local area has to offer, we plan a series of activities that will really immerse people in the experience of living in the Boston area. So in terms of program eligibility, I want to be clear that what we are most interested in are students with a very strong academic transcript, compelling narratives about why it is they want to do public policy work, interest in the kind of completed coursework that's been done, internships that they've had, and other extracurricular activities that reflect a serious interest in policy relevant skills and experiences. And so this might be courses that you've already taken at your home institution, but we won't discount people who have not taken college level economics, mathematics, or statistics, because we think part of our job is to provide those skills for you so that you are prepared to move on. We are very much interested, even if you don't have that, in whatever kind of public policy related internship or other experience you might have that speaks to the passion that you have for public policy work. And I will end, next slide, please, by you all know the first two sets of deadlines. The final thing that I want you to know is that here at Harvard, our JSI will happen between June 16th and August 2nd. So please block that time off on your calendar, because we really do hope to see you next summer. That's all for me. Next.
Hi, everyone. I can jump in now for the Ford School of Public Policy. Well, it's nice to meet you all. My name is Logan Corey. My pronouns are she, hers, and I am the Senior Recruiting Coordinator here at the University of Michigan, Gerald R. Ford School of Public Policy, located in Ann Arbor, Michigan. So thank you for spending some time with me today to learn a little bit more about our program. Some key things I wanted to share with you, some information right at the get-go. We provide a $1,500 stipend for living expenses. So this is really to help out for all those things that may come up while you're participating in our program. I know you've heard about a couple of programs already, so you have a general sense of some of the shared values and goals amongst all the JSI programs. So I want to touch on a couple of the nuances that may be different for us. But one thing too I want to share on the slide right away, these are photos from our cohort from this past summer, our most recent cohort. And we have a tradition here at the Ford School in June for Gerald R. Ford's birthday, where we have our Spirit Day. And so this takes place all over the US, all over the world, and our students got to participate in some of our incredible opportunities like a slushy truck, which was very fun. So within our program, getting back to the point on task, we actually have a faculty lunch series, which I know you've heard from some other programs as well. But this is a really great opportunity to connect with our faculty on more of a personal level. So this isn't a formal panel. This isn't something where you're giving a presentation. You're able to meet with these incredible individuals and learn more about the fields of research that they have expertise in. So for some of these faculty that you're able to connect with, they were coming to the table with expertise in science, technology, and that interaction with state power, foreign aid and international development, national security, health policy, international law and politics, international relations. And then you in the space are able to ask questions directly related to those fields of study, not just how did they get involved, but what went wrong around their journey? What were some struggles that they had and how did they get to where they are today? We also have several policy modules that students can engage in. Again, another way to get more hands-on experience, connect with experts in the field. And these are some recent topics of policy modules we've had in our past few JSI years. In this past year, one of our faculty experts previously held positions in the Department of Homeland Security and the FBI, bringing that focus to the session. We also had a faculty member whose research has been supported by the Institute for Research on Poverty and National Academy of Education. So two very different areas. You're able to hear from a diverse range of experts in these fields. And then for the actual coursework we have in our program, there's a strong focus on statistics, microeconomics, and graduate school writing. And a big important piece about our graduate school writing is within the Ford School, we actually have our own writing center, which is really incredible. So that way you're getting prepared with all those little nuances for graduate school writing, and then to enter the professional sphere with a higher level than some of those peers who maybe hadn't had that one-on-one interaction to fix all those little missing pieces and get things refined for that world. Next slide. So I also want to touch on a little bit on Ann Arbor. I mentioned that our campus is located here in Ann Arbor. I am a lifelong Michigander, so I am very passionate about the city. I really love Ann Arbor, and it is a very incredible location. If you want to visit other cities like Detroit, Chicago, Toronto, everything is pretty accessible. Some of that's by train, some of that's by car. And of course, we're being so close to the city of Detroit, we have a lot of really incredible resources from art, especially available in the city nearby. Ann Arbor is continuously ranked a great place to live within the US, the most educated city in America, with a lot of incredible opportunities available through that. On the campus itself, we have lots of museums, concerts, nightlife, public parks, gardens, plenty of cuisine. Anyone you talk to about Ann Arbor always asks, how's the food? Have you been to Zingerman's? So you get to take part in some of those traditions as well. So you can see on the photo here some of our cohort from last year, and also going to take a trip to the stadium, the big house at U of M, which is a really incredible experience to actually be on the field and take a photo on the 50-yard line. I also want to share a photo here of our annual art fair. This is a huge tradition that takes place on campus, and JSI happens to fall during the Ann Arbor Art Fair. You get to see art from artists all over the world, explore the whole city, kind of shutting down the streets, become this big walkable experience. And during the same time, there's lots of free outdoor summer concerts, there's outdoor movies, our Top Park Festival. So it's a good way to feel very included as part of the entire city community. Next slide. Some additional opportunities. So we told you a little bit about the academic experience when you're in the classrooms, the instructors you're talking to, the actual city that you'll be situated in. So a few of those other things that will happen while you're participating in JSI with us here at Ford is a lot of professional development. We want you to be able to leave our program with those skills to enter your next step in the career force. Some of that is actual career planning. What does that look like? Some support from our career services. And some of that will come from knowing your strengths by actually doing a Clifton Strength Finder, knowing where those areas you can really leverage and bring that to the table and how to tap into those. That will also include some resume workshops to really look at what are you presenting when you're applying for jobs, for internships, going forward to graduate school, and being able to talk to someone who can give you one-on-one advice for all of those skill sets. And we also had opportunities to connect with our policy research modules. So for these opportunities, you connect with folks and find out more what it would be like to have a day doing research in those fields. So connecting with someone who's involved with our Youth Policy Lab or Center for Racial Justice. If you were interested in a career in one of those fields, what would that look like just for a day to try that on for size? There's also some preparation for graduate school. Some of that is actual GRE course prep materials where you get access to some additional resources to be very prepared for that exam. And some of that is more individualized from our alum. So last year, our student staff support was Alexia, who was an alum of JSI, who came in and actually prepared her own presentation on applying for grad schools from her experiences. What were some things you could look out for, some things to improve? So a lot of this was very individualized, and it kind of speaks to the Ford staff faculty community. You get to know everything very well. We're very personable. A lot of folks go by a first name basis here in the staff side as well. So if ever there's a concern, there's someone here to meet with you and help you out. There also was a GAO case study. I know other programs have mentioned a chance to connect with this. We had a trip to Detroit where you could hear from policy leaders in the city of Detroit, get to know the city a little bit better and explore there. And there's additional community building opportunities. Things like the stadium tour I mentioned. There was a lake day where we explored an inland lake in the state of Michigan. There was a kayaking trip where students went and explored the kayaks on the Huron River. And also one of our incredible faculty members took students out to play soccer. So there's a lot of opportunity to really connect with one another, form a community outside the classroom as well. And I shared a couple of quotes from two of our students from our last cohort, kind of speaking to their experiences to give you a better sense of how students from this program actually felt when you're considering which program might be a good fit for you. So I'd encourage you to check us out and explore the Ford School's JSI program.
Hello, everyone. Good afternoon. My name is Ariel Matos, and I have the absolute pleasure of serving as the director for Princeton University's Junior Summer Institute program. I just completed my first cycle as director of this program, and honestly, it was one of the best experiences that I've had throughout my professional career. What you can see on your screen here is our fantastic cohort of students while we were down in Washington, D.C. for the PPIA National Expo back in July. Just an incredible group of students. And we certainly look forward to having some of you on this call join and become our next cohort of students at Princeton. So I'm going to spend a few short minutes just talking about our specific JSI program. I certainly look forward to hearing from you and having conversation with you in the very near future. So in talking about the JSI program at the Princeton School of Public and International Affairs, specifically in terms of talking about our curriculum, you are going to complete required coursework in the following areas, which are quantitative methods for policy analysis, including R for public policy, economics for policy analysis, policy writing and analysis, and also policy workshops, of which you would have the option to choose whether the domestic track or the international track. In talking about some of the quantitative method classes that you're going to take at Princeton, every student is going to take a microeconomics class and also a statistics class. Now, there were some questions in the chat earlier regarding, what would happen to a student who's already taken an intro to microeconomics class. What happens at Princeton, and I'm sure this happens at our partner institutions as well, is that there is a intro intermediate section and also an advanced section. Right. So you would be placed in either the intro or the advanced section based on your quantitative foundation. And also, please keep in mind that these are graduate level courses, right? So you may have taken them on the undergraduate level, but the graduate level courses is going to serve as a distinction for you. And in terms of where we are, we're located in beautiful Princeton, New Jersey, which is located in central Jersey. I will say, and I'm probably a bit biased here, but Princeton is the quintessential college town. Walking around in the neighborhood, you'll see lots of orange and black. There is plenty of excitement around the university, around our students, and around all of the learning that is happening on campus. And for those of you who use social media, I can assure you that there are many Instagrammable locations on campus. So you'll certainly have a great time with living within the Princeton town for the 7 weeks during JSI. Next slide, please. So in terms of co-curricular programming, those things that you're going to do outside of class, you are going to have an opportunity to have FaceTime with our Office of Graduate Admissions at SPIA. There are many opportunities for one-on-ones for every student to have a chance to speak with our Director of Graduate Admissions, who goes by the name of Stephen Petrick. We host weekly workshops with policy practitioners, Princeton faculty members, and SPIA alumni. So these are opportunities for you to have very direct and honest conversations with those who are working directly within the field of public and international affairs, and also those faculty members that are teaching our classes. These often happen twice every week on Tuesdays and Thursdays. So what we do is we provide lunch, and we also provide really great opportunity that is informative for our students. We have opportunities for our students to connect with our Office of Career Development at SPIA. So we provide that ongoing career development guidance throughout your time in the program. And then also you have the opportunity to engage with different fellowship providers directly on campus. And those are going to include our Princeton in Latin America, Princeton in Africa, Princeton in Asia, right? So you have these you have this proximity at Princeton towards some of these very prestigious opportunities through being a member of the Princeton JSI program. Next slide, please. So many students will often ask, what is it that we look for in our applicants? And at Princeton, we try to be as clear and direct as possible. The number one thing that is going to drive every application into Princeton, whether for JSI or even for our graduate programs, number one is going to be evidence of a commitment to public service. This idea of commitment to public service really drives everything that we do at Princeton. Our unofficial motto is in the service of humanity, in service of the nation, right? So we want to ensure that we are considering and admitting students who are ultimately going to then go back and continue to create indelible impacts within their local communities. The next thing that we're going to look for is a strong academic background. This does not mean that you have to have a perfect 4.0 GPA or a perfect GRE score to get admitted into Princeton. However, we want to make sure that you have the capacity to learn what we teach. Princeton is hard. Princeton is rigorous. The summer program at JSI is going to be lots of work over 7 weeks. It is not a summer vacation at all. So we want to make sure that you have the capacity and the appetite to successfully navigate and engage with the curriculum that you're going to find within our summer program. We look for students who can showcase leadership and impact, those who are creating, again, indelible impact within their local communities, those who are leading others into change, into creating and into transforming their communities. These are all things that are really going to help you stand out in your application. And we truly do value a diversity of perspectives. Students who are coming to us from very diverse backgrounds, lived experiences, are really the hallmark of what make a Princeton academic classroom such a great place to learn and such a great place to thrive. Next slide, please. So this is our contact information. Again, as director of the JSI program, my email address is right there on the screen. I work very closely with our Associate Dean of Diversity, Equity, and Inclusion, who goes by the name of Raina Truelove. Her name is on the screen as well. And just really quickly, there are a few things that I didn't share. So we have many social opportunities for our students to engage in throughout their time in JSI. Last summer, we spent some time kayaking around the area of Princeton. We took a trip to New York where we visited the Met, and we also spent some time at the Color Factory. We went to a movie theater. We had a double feature watching Barbie and Oppenheimer, right? So everything isn't just about the learning process that takes place at Princeton. A lot of it is about building community. At the conclusion of the JSI program, we do provide access to a GRE prep training course that is facilitated through the Princeton Review. Every student who's admitted into the JSI program and completes the program will receive a $2,000 stipend for your participation in the program. And I say that because there was a question earlier regarding a student who asked if they could work either a part-time job or have an internship during JSI. The response to that is I would say that the answer is going to be no, because you're going to be so busy with all the academic coursework and community building you're going to be doing as part of the JSI program. And in terms of traveling to and from Princeton, we will cover all transportation costs for you, right? So we fully got you there. Now, for those students who complete JSI and are then considering graduate school at Princeton for our 2-year Master in Public Affairs program or for one of our PhD programs, just note that every student who is admitted at Princeton will receive full funding. We will fully cover you, all of your cost of tuition, living expenses. We provide a very generous living stipend, your textbooks, all of those things are going to be fully funded by Princeton. So those students who successfully complete JSI will be given consideration for admission into our graduate programs at the school. And before I leave this space, I just want to share with you just one thought that is central to who it is that I am. And it is this idea, this belief that Princeton is possible. Right? As students who are considering applying into our JSI spaces, into graduate schools at our respective institutions, I need you to understand and to believe that Princeton is possible. If you do not submit an application, we cannot admit you into Princeton, right? So I want you to take that leap of faith, right? If you do have an idea, an intention, an aspiration to attend a school like Princeton, I need you to know that Princeton is possible. At Princeton, we are a space for students from all backgrounds and lived experiences, regardless of wherever you may come from. We welcome you. We welcome you at Princeton. Right. There was also another question about if students from elite institutions gain preference for admission into the JSI program. The answer to that is no. Right. If you're a college student, right, who is committed to public service, to public and international affairs, and you have an intention and aspiration to apply for a program like JSI, we will consider you for admission into our program. So if you have any questions about the JSI program at Princeton, I certainly welcome your questions. I look forward to connecting with you, and I wish you the absolute best of luck. And again, just remember, Princeton is possible. Thank you.
Hello, everyone. And again, welcome to our presentation this morning. My name is Erin Walker, and I am the PPIA Program Director at the University of California, Berkeley's Goldman School of Public Policy. It is my honor and my pleasure to be with you to tell you a little bit about our program. Next summer, Berkeley will celebrate its 43rd year presenting a JSI program in the PPIA realm. So we're really looking forward to that. What's unique about Berkeley is that we offer a law component to our program. We work in partnership with the Berkeley School of Law, and you're going to learn about the intersection between public policy, justice, and law. This program should be of particular interest to students who are interested in considering a law degree that focuses on public service, but also to those who have considered a dual graduate degree in public policy and law. In the past, we've only accepted 10 students out of our 30 into the law component of our program. But this year, we've added a core course to our curriculum so that we're not going to limit the number of law fellows we accept. We will consider each application based on its merits, and we will admit as many students as we possibly can. Next slide, please. As to our core curriculum, we start our courses out with policy analysis and communication. This course is to produce a fundamental skill set in policy analysis and writing. We use GSPP's signature 8-fold path to do that. And you get a crash course in writing for graduate school. The next course that we present is our Econ for Public Policy. And the major focus of this course is to demonstrate how economic theory is a powerful tool to help you evaluate, identify, and analyze the trade-offs of policy making. By the end of the course, you should be able to identify the assumptions of economic models and what they are capable of identifying and what their limitations are. The third course is quantitative methods, and I think all of our GSI programs offer this course. But it's going to give you a firm foundation in mathematical and statistical concepts. And you're just going to get a crash course in how to learn how to apply these to policy making. Finally, we have law and public policy, and this course prepares future policy leaders to understand the past and current role of federal, state, and local systems of government to develop and define the constraints that those systems use for doing policy work. Fellows in this course will learn the legal frameworks, such as the United States Constitution, its amendments, and the constitutional functions of each branch of government. We also explore the structure and function of the federal and state courts and the legal mechanisms where policy is transformed into law and how to navigate those systems. In addition to our core courses, we offer lunchtime lectures with various faculty from the law school, from the Institute of International Studies and Affairs, and of course from GSPP. Our JSI also offers a series of professional development workshops, field trips, panel discussions that include a lot of legal and policy professionals from a variety of government agencies in the Bay Area. Most of those are made up of GSPP and PPIA alumni. Next slide, please. This slide simply shows you some of our faculty here at GSPP. In the middle, you'll see a picture of our illustrious dean, David Wilson. He is also a PPIA alumnus. He did his program at Michigan, and we try not to hold that against him. Other faculty you'll see here that like to come and speak to the PPIA cohort are Robert Reich, who is a social media phenom. He's a political commentator and former Secretary of Labor. You'll also see Janet Napolitano, who is former governor of the state of Arizona, former Secretary of Homeland Security, and the former president of the UC system. Her area of specialty is education policy, politics, leadership, and management. You'll also see here Angela Glover Blackwell, who is the founder and resident of PolicyLink. Under her leadership, PolicyLink gained national prominence in the movement to use public policy to improve access to and opportunity to low-income people and communities of color, particularly in the areas of health, housing, transportation, and infrastructure. And finally, I just want to point out at the bottom of the page, you'll see a photo of Professor Hilary Hoynes. Professor Hoynes now serves as the Associate Dean of the Goldman School of Public Policy, and her area of expertise lies with poverty, equity in food, nutrition programs, and the impact of the government in and transfer programs in low-income families, particularly with children and youth. Next slide, please. This list just just shows a highlight of some of the things we were able to do with the cohort this past summer. We had a presentation from, of course, our dean, talking about his PPIA experience, which was really rewarding for our students. We host, again, LinkedIn workshops, networking resume workshops, presentations for all of our degree fields, including the law school, a tour of the law school. We really got a really great thing that we got to do this summer was visit the state of California's capital in Sacramento, and our students were able to sit in on legislative sessions and listen to bills be argued and passed in some cases, which was really rewarding. We also took field trips into the city of Oakland to visit the GAO and do a case study in their offices in the federal building of Oakland. We got to do a port tour and get up and have a panel with alumni that work for the California Oakland port, and took a ferry tour of the San Francisco Bay at sunset, which was really lovely. But more importantly, they got to see all of the transportation policy being enacted as we toured the port live and in person. We also got to go down to San Francisco, and we had a lot of fun there and learn more about transportation policy by touring the Salesforce Transit Center. And some of the fun things that we got to do this summer, we had a scavenger hunt around campus. We had a bowling night. We went axe throwing just to take out some aggression, because this is a really academically rigorous program. And so we want to give everybody time for relief. We did a yoga night. We had game nights and picnics around the Glade. And on graduation day, they actually had a water balloon fight and got to take out some of the tension that gets held up when they're doing their classes, but they had a lot of fun at the end. Next slide, please. And finally, these are just some pictures of our cohort from this last year and some of our adventures. Feel free to contact me at ppiaprogram.berkeley.edu. Take a look at our social media pages. We have a PPIA Berkeley IG page. It'll show you some videos of what our cohort was able to do this summer, and we look forward to hearing from you.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Our representative from the University of Washington Evans School is not able to be with us today, but we are very proud to have the Evans School in our JSI cohort, and they have sent me a list of things that they wanted me to emphasize as part of this panel. So why the University of Washington Evans School? Why should you rank them as part of your JSI list? And so some of the things that I wanted to highlight here as part of this, and let me actually just pull this up real quick, is the Evans School does a mini capstone project with all of their JSI fellows. And so their JSI fellows will work with a group of 4 or 5 on a special social policy theme, and are advised by an experienced policy practitioner, either from the community or a faculty member at the Evans School. And so one of the things that I know that the University of Washington Evans School really tries to bake into the JSI experience is a social policy component, and they really try to tackle social policy issues that are specific to the Pacific Northwest and to the city of Seattle. So if you are interested in tackling social policy issues, applying to the Evans School JSI program and ranking them should be something that's on your mind. JSI fellows are assigned a mentor, and our mentor visits are structured in the weekly schedule for the program. And the Evans School will do field trips to Microsoft, to the Seattle City Hall, to Salesforce, and other networking and panel presentations with public service practitioners throughout the city. And there will also be service engagements at a local food bank where the PPIA JSI fellows will be able to give back and think through issues of food insecurity and public policy. You'll also be able to experience the beautiful Pacific Northwest, gain the UW experience at the 3rd ranked US Public Policy Institution, explore courses threaded together with relevant and timely cases in public policy innovation happening throughout the Washington area. And as I mentioned, do a lot of networking and community building activities. Here are some pictures from, I think, some of those activities that I just mentioned that they did last year. Here you can see volunteering at a food bank, going these trips to Microsoft, participating in these group activities. So wanted to kind of show this JSI cohort in action. In terms of coursework, the Evans School will do economics for policy analysis, policy analysis, implementation, and program evaluation. And so if policy and analysis and program evaluation are something that you're really interested in, this would be a program for you. Quantitative methods for program making, policy making, and leadership and community engagement. And these courses are designed to be highly applicable and relevant with policy topics drawn from real-world policy and management issues. So really trying to make these courses and the topics applicable to real-world implementation. And so opportunities to join the JSI cohort in Seattle this summer. If you have additional questions about the PPIA Evans School opportunity, JSI opportunity, please feel free to email ppia@uw.edu. But yes, the Evans School Fellows will have opportunities to network with faculty during this experience as well. So again, you can, to apply for the PPIA JSI program, and actually, let me go back to the beginning here because that was the wrong slide. Here's a link. It's that bit.ly/JSI 2024. You'll click on apply here. You can create an application profile, and from there, you'll be prompted through the application process. We have about 10 more minutes, and I know that we've answered a lot of questions already. Some more of you might have questions still, and Saran might have an idea of some questions we might need to clarify. But I wanted to get a sense if, and actually maybe I'll throw it over to Saran first. If Saran, do you want to clarify any questions?
Yeah, we really should clarify we've gotten a lot of questions around the ranking system of the application, and I just want to clarify why we rank. So you'll have 6 schools that you're applying to, and it helps. The ranking system is because we don't want the same student to have 2 spots that can go to. So let me explain. The way the ranking system works is you will rank your school preference from 1 through 6. And then when the JSI directors get together to determine which students to apply, because a student can only have 1 spot at a school, depending on your ranking, the school, if there's a school that desires a particular student, that school will get the student depending on ranking. So let's say you selected Princeton as your first choice. And then Princeton decides to admit you, but also so does Harvard. Princeton will get you as a student because you ranked Princeton first. So that's essentially the goal of ranking. It doesn't impact your admission. It doesn't impact anything else. The schools do it because we can only have one student at a one JSI program. So I hope that really, really helps. I know that there were so many questions about that.
Awesome. Thank you so much, Saran, for clarifying that. Let's see. If anyone else has a question, feel free to raise your hand and we can have you come off mute and ask that. Let's see. Jared, I see that you have a question.
Can you hear me?
Yes.
Okay, well, I'd like to thank you, Esteban, and everyone else for taking your time to answer our questions and whatnot. I know you are all very busy right now. You can't see because I don't have my camera. However, I'm white, but I grew up in a foster home with a lot of sisters, and I've worked in founding a nonprofit dedicating towards helping underserved people in our community. So would talking about those experiences be a good way to like fulfill this diversity requirement? I appreciate that the program has a focus on that.
Definitely. And I just want to mention that, you know, here at PPIA, we have a very broad definition of diversity. And so do my colleagues, you know, here on the call. You know, diversity is not only, you know, I think how sometimes people think about it in terms of, you know, ethnic and racial diversity, but we also want to take into perspective, you know, seen and unseen identities and also lived experience. And so in terms of those factors, you know, we will take all of that into account as we try to put together, you know, this year's, you know, cohort. And so definitely, you know, speak to, you know, the lived experience you have, the perspectives that has given you along the way, and what you hope to bring to the program, given those perspectives that you've had throughout your life.
Amazing. Thank you so much. I appreciate it.
Awesome. Thank you so much. Kelly, I see that you have a question. I'm gonna hold on one second. I'm gonna hand things over to Kelly.
Hi, are you able to hear me?
Yes.
Okay, awesome. So I know that there's a lot of people on the call, but I wanted to ask you, as well as some of the JSI directors, what impact this program has had on you, how it's changed your perspective in working with students and preparing them to go on to become leaders in the field of public service.
Definitely. Do any of my colleagues want to take this one, or both at the national office or at one of the host sites? Ariel, yeah.
Sure. Esteban, thank you. And Kelly, thank you so much for your question. I think it's a great one. So I mentioned earlier that this past summer was my first cycle, you know, serving as director for the JSI program. And really, for me, it was a very sort of eye-opening and illuminating experience. And I say that because, full transparency, I was a low-income first-generation college student. My parents are immigrants in this country from Dominican Republic. So growing up, you know, I was a student who was fully eligible for Pell and state and statewide grants, and I really needed those funding sources in order to help pay my way through college. And growing up, I grew up around like I grew up about 20 minutes away from Princeton. And even with that proximity, I never imagined myself being good enough to get into a place like Princeton. And once, you know, I earned my degrees and I had an opportunity to start working in higher education, you know, I always told myself, like I had to affirm for myself over and over again that I was good enough. And once I had an opportunity to start working at Princeton, I actually started my career at the university working in the Office of Graduate Admissions. You know, I really started this idea, this phrase that Princeton is possible, right? And everywhere I went, I would profess that Princeton is possible. Like you cannot be admitted into Princeton if you don't believe that you can get in, more so if you don't submit an application, right? So having had an opportunity to coordinate JSI for the first time last summer, you know, that was my first message to all of our JSI students. I want you to believe that Princeton is possible, not only for JSI, but also for our graduate programs. And once you start with that belief, then you can start putting forward the necessary actions to make these things happen. So having had an opportunity to work with these students, it was really interesting in that I felt like I saw so much of myself in so many of our students. And it's like having had that opportunity and to see where they are right now in terms of the impact that they've created on their communities, their leadership potential, their academic capacity, right? Their vigor in terms of making their community, in terms of creating like positive change in the world of policy for all of us, for all of our communities. That was really inspirational for me, right? So I feel like I learned so much from our students in JSI, and it really helped to re-energize me for the next JSI cycle, right? So that's how I was impacted by sort of my first cycle through running the JSI program. And I look forward to all of the lessons learned that I acquired over my first year. And really, I look forward, and I'm sure that I can share this on behalf of all of our directors here on this stage, that we really do look forward to this next iteration of JSI Scholars, and to just pouring and investing into your own success and your own futures. So I hope that was helpful for you, Kelly. And certainly if you have any questions, regarding the Princeton JSI program or any of our JSI programs, I just want you to know that all of us here on this stage, we're all real people, we're humans, and we certainly look forward to helping you throughout this process. All right, so I wish you the best.
Thanks, Ariel. And I'll just mention too, I think we have great alumni that can attest to, the pipeline that we're building, the mayor of Dallas, Eric Johnson, gubernatorial candidate Stacey Abrams, minority leader Hakeem Jeffries. These are all PPIA JSI fellows. And I like to think that, we played a very substantial role in, not only democracy building, for our country, but but also in their careers, and I'm hopeful that a lot of you on this call, are going to have just as much, if not more, impact because of on the state of democracy for the country moving forward, because you're going to be able to take part in our JSI program. I see Kamsi. This will be the last question, and then I'll see if Saran has anything else to add before we wrap up.
Hi, can you hear me?
Yes.
Great. Thank you, Esteban, and all of the panelists who took the time to speak to us today. How are individuals interested in international relations and, say, a master's in development practice represented alongside students who are interested in domestic policy? Like, would you say it's like equal distribution, or is like perhaps one underrepresented in relation to the other?
Really. Aaron, do you want to take this one?
I will say at Berkeley, we the Goldman School now represents the Masters of Development Practice as a program that we administer. And so we have practitioners that come and speak to international policy, and we have career services professionals and student services professionals that you can meet with, and that will guide you along that path if that's something you're interested in. But I will say that Berkeley definitely has a focus there.
And I'll say too, it seems like the University of Washington, is doing evaluation design as part of their programming as well. And so I know that a big part of international and global affairs is evaluation design, and if you're looking to gain that type of experience as part of your JSI experience, looking at programs like Berkeley, like UW, should be things that you consider as you look through this process. Sound good, Kamsi?
Yes, thank you.
Awesome. Okie dokie. Saran, anything that we missed? Any final thoughts?
I would just encourage folks who still have questions after this webinar. Two things: this webinar will be posted on our website afterwards, and so you can definitely refer to that as well. Please, you can email us at info@ppiaprogram.org. If you have any more questions, we're happy to answer all of your questions there. Thank you for attending.
Yep. Any other final words from any of our program directors? Okie dokie. Well, thank you everyone for joining us today. I know we took 2 extra minutes of your time, but we really appreciate your interest in the PPIA JSI fellowship program. And as Saran said, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out. And we look forward to receiving your applications before the deadline midnight on November 1st. Thank you. Bye.